Hi, I'm Nurse Barb, and this is your Daily Dose. I recently launched a new website, yourmenocoach.com, that has lots of answers about all aspects of midlife and the menopause transition, including perimenopause. If you head over there, you'll see some e-courses that are divided into chapters so you can find information on everything you care about, from hot flashes and night sweats to bioidentical hormones and why you're gaining weight and what you can do about it. So today, let's talk about perimenopause. What is that? Well, perimenopause is that time in your life before your periods stop completely, because menopause is just one day in your life, and that's the one day when you haven't had any periods for 12 or more months. But peri, the word means around, so perimenopause is around menopause. It's that time in our life when we have a hormonal roller coaster where our hormones can be having wide swings up and down. We can have a lot of symptoms and we can have very irregular periods. So before pre-menopause, we can have periods that are pretty much what we expect. They come when we expect them. They last about as long as we expect. And the interval between periods is pretty predictable, and we can still get pregnant. So perimenopause is that time when everything is disrupted. There's no guarantee of getting pregnant. We have fewer and fewer eggs in our ovaries, and that means that our hormone levels are changing. So with perimenopause, many women start to have a lot of symptoms, but often they're not connecting the dots that this could actually be menopause, because when we look in the mirror, we don't look our age. But when our periods are still irregular, we're like, well, we're still having periods, so this can't possibly be menopause. And oftentimes when we see a healthcare provider, they're not connecting the dots either. But if you're having sleep disruption or brain fog, issues with your memory, profound fatigue, no sex drive, a lot of weight gain, breast tenderness, feeling like you're PMSing all the time, that might be perimenopause. So ask yourself a few questions. Are you having periods that are starting to get a little bit irregular? Maybe they're coming closer together or much, much further apart. Maybe you're skipping 2 or 3 months. Maybe instead of bleeding for 4 or 5 days, you're only bleeding for 1 or 2, or you're bleeding for 7 or 10 days. Maybe you're bleeding continuously for weeks and weeks. Maybe you're starting to feel a little bit hot at night when you're in bed and you get a clammy feeling on the back of your neck, or you're waking up drenched in night sweats. Maybe you're having a little bit of issue with leaking urine when you cough or sneeze or laugh, or worse, when you're trying to get to the bathroom and your bladder decides to just let everything go before you're quite ready. Maybe your sex drive packed up its bags and didn't even wave goodbye, but is gone. Maybe you're noticing a lot of weight gain, especially around your midsection. All of these are symptoms of perimenopause, but very often we think, well, it's got to be something else. Maybe it's my thyroid, or I'm working too hard, or I'm under a lot of stress. But what I'm here to tell you is that as our hormone levels start to change, what happens is that almost every aspect of our life and our body starts to change. You see, our estrogen levels are starting to decline in perimenopause. And estrogen is the hormone you've had in your body since puberty. Estrogen is a natural hormone. So estrogen is what makes us women. It gives us curves, gives us soft skin, a higher pitched voice. And every single month when we have a period, in our menstrual cycle, our body produces estrogen. Let me show you with my uterus model here. So this uterus model can come apart, right? So what you can see is the inside of the uterus. And these little silver things, these are just the magnets that hold the other part. So what you have here is the uterus, and you have ovaries, and this is what's going on inside the ovary. Here's the lining of the uterus, or the endometrium, the cervix, and the vagina, where all the blood comes out. So every month since puberty, since you were, a teen or preteen, your ovaries started to make an egg, and that egg released estrogen. Estrogen told the lining of the uterus to build up with blood to be prepared for the possibility of a fertilized egg. Then you ovulate, and the egg comes through the fallopian tube. If it meets up with sperm, then there's a pregnancy. If it doesn't, then the egg dissolves in the tube, and then the ovary makes progesterone. Progesterone limits the growth of the lining of the uterus. And then what happens is that lining gets more thick and glandular, and then both hormone levels, they drop, and we get a period. So all that lining sloughs off through the cervix and the vagina. But in perimenopause, what happens? We don't have as many eggs, so we don't ovulate regularly. I'm going to say that again. Ovulation is inconsistent with perimenopause, and that's what leads to a lot of these wide swings in hormones. So 1 month we may have a lot of breast tenderness from a lot of estrogen and headaches, and then the next month feel just fine. 1 month we may have a lot of hot flashes and night sweats, and that can go on for 2 or 3 months where we're highly symptomatic, and then the symptoms go away like magic and we revert to our normal again. So perimenopause, that time around menopause, there's a lot of variability. Variability in symptoms, variability in periods. So what should you watch out for? Well, if you're having periods that last for more than 10 days, or they're coming more often than every 21 days, do talk to your healthcare provider. If you're bleeding so heavily that you can't even leave the bathroom because there's not enough protection in the world to help, and this is going on for a couple of days, do talk to your healthcare provider. Here's a rule of thumb. If you're soaking through a pad and or a tampon in 1 hour or less, and that's going on for more than 6 hours, do talk to your healthcare provider and get evaluated. So what can you expect with perimenopause? How long is it going to last? Again, that's variable. Some women will experience symptoms of perimenopause where everything's unpredictable and there's a hormonal roller coaster for 3, 5, 7, or even 10 years. But there's a lot that can be done. You can talk to a certified menopause practitioner or someone familiar with women's health, and they can talk to you about options so that you can kind of take those big hormonal swings and kind of smooth them out. One thing that can be safe for women who are non-smokers and who don't have migraines is to use a combined oral contraceptive or the birth control pill, because that's something that can be safely used in the 40s for most women, and that can smooth out those hormonal wide swings and that hormonal roller coaster. If you're experiencing a lot of these symptoms and you're in your late 30s, that's also a time to talk to a healthcare provider, because that may indicate a premature menopause. So I hope this has helped answer your questions about perimenopause. There's a lot that you can do to feel better. You don't have to just suffer and put up with it. Remember, it might last 3, 7, or more years. For more information, you can head over to my blog, nursebarb.com, or to my new menopause website, Your Meno Coach. And if you like this video, please click on like and subscribe. Take care and be well.